Good day everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Decency Apparel. It's a quick one. If this is the first time you are coming across my channel, you are welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for watching again. I really appreciate. So on today's tutorial, it's just going to be a quick one. Let's learn how to cover your bra cup with fabric. Very simple, neat and easy way. So without much talk, let's head over to the video. The first thing you are going to do is you have to measure the width of your bra cup and the length of the bra cup. That's the first thing you are going to do. You measure the width, whatever you got. You also measure the length. Here the width is 8 inches, the width I have there, and the length is 6 inches. The length is 6 inches. So the reason you have to measure it so that when folding the fabric you're going to use, you won't cut exactly at that 8 inches for the width and the 6 inches for the length. You are going to add some few inches, like 2 to 3 inches excess allowance, so that you won't run shortage of fabric while covering it. Here I'm measuring for the length. The length I got when I measured the cup was 6, but here I folded almost 9 inches. Oh yeah, it's 9.5. I folded 9 inches for the width of the cup, whereas I got 6 inches when I measured it. I added more 3.5 inches so that I won't run any shortage of fabric while sewing. After that, here I'm still cross-checking the width and the length, and after that I flip the material together. I'm going to cut it because I'm going to use one for covering it and use the other one for the lining piece. Same thing I did for the width is what I will do for the length. For the width, I will also add more inches to it. I'll also add more inches to it. Here I've cut out the other one. Let's work with only this one. I've cut out the other one that I'll use for the lining. Let's work with this one I'm going to use to cut it. This is the width I told you earlier. I added more 3.5 inches, and this is that was the length, and this is the width. I added enough inches to extra inches. You can add excess like from 3 inches upwards for the width and for the length while cutting your fabric. After that, I will fold the fabric into two, just like you see me do. Fold it like so. Fold it on top of each other and align it properly. Align it very well. After that, the next thing you do is to get your tape. At the folded side, you mark out 1 inch. You mark out 1 inch. You mark out 1 inch on the down part. After that, you go upwards and mark the same 1 inch you marked at the down part. Mark out the same 1 inch. After that, the next thing you are going to do is to place your tape from the upper part to the down part and divide into 2. And after measuring it, whatever you got, to divide it into 2. After dividing it into 2, after marking it out, whatever you got, divide it into 2 and place whatever you got at that center, at the center of it. Then the next thing is to connect from that 1 inch to the center of the upper part, and connect again from the 1 inch to the down part. From this 1 inch, connect to that point you mark at the center, at the upper part, and for the down part, connect from that half inch, from that point you mark at the center to the down part, just like this. This is what you have after marking it. This is what you have. The next thing is to sew from one end to the other. This line that I will just mark, you sew from the upper part to the down part. Let's head over to the machine now and sew it down. This is me sewing it down. I'm sewing for both the linings and the one I used to cover the cup. I sewed all of them together, and after sewing it, this is what it looks like. I've finished sewing it from one end to the other, just as I explained. And this is all the pieces I've sewn that I used to cover it. The next thing I will do now is to cut out the excesses. And when I'm done cutting it, I'll cut for the ones I will use for the lining. I'll cut all of them together, just like this. These are the other ones I will use for the lining. I've cut all of them too, the same way. After that, the next thing we are going to do is to get our cup and now use it to cover it. The first thing to do is to open up the fabric, just like this. Open it up. When you get the cup, you open up your fabric like this. After opening the fabric you join together, the next thing is to place it on top of your cup. You can choose either way you want to place the line. You can make the line vertical or horizontal. It depends on your choice. But for this particular style I want to make with this cup, I'm going to place it this way. When you place it, use your hands to adjust it properly so that it will open. It will close the cup very well and it will relax very well. Make sure it relaxes very, very well when you cover it. Make sure it relaxes very, very well, just like this. And when doing this thing, when covering it, you have to work with your pin. Let pin be your friend here. You don't have to rush this particular. While doing this, just take your time. I'm going to work with my pin. I'll use the pin to align it first. I'll just be aligning it and pinning it up. I'm going to pin it all around. That's what I'll do now. Here, I've started the pinning process. I'm really taking my time here, pinning it all through. Well, you can work with as many pins as much as you want. Here I'm pinning it up, adjusting it as I'm pinning. You can pin and unpin here, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you get it well. In doing this, it's not about the speed but how well you do it. And after pinning it, this is what it looks like. This is the look after pinning it first. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to use a needle and thread. Yes, that's what I will do. Yes, I'm going to use my needle first to hand tack it before sewing it to at the machine. It's better for me this way. I've pinned for the both cup because I'm using this to make a dress for someone, for a client. So I've pinned the both cups together. Let me now get my needle and sew it all around and show us. Here I'm here with my hand needle. I'm going to hand tack it all around now before heading over to the machine to sew it. I'll do it and show us what it looks like. But if you can sew it directly using the machine without hand tacking it, you can go ahead, no problem. But for me I prefer to do it this way. It makes it more easy and simple for me. I'll first hand tack it and show us what it looks like after sewing. And after hand tacking it, this is what I have. This is the back, and when you turn it over, this is what the front looks like after hand tacking it. I'm done with hand tacking with my needle. This is it when I'm done. The next thing I'm going to do now is to head over to the machine and sew it all around. I'll sew it all around at the machine and show us what it looks like after. And this is it. After sewing it at the machine, I removed the pins, and this is what it looks like. I've attached it with my machine. See how neat it is. I've finished sewing it all through. This is what it looks like. The next thing to do now is to cut out the excess with my scissors. I'm going to cut out all the excess I have. And when I'm done cutting everything out, this is what I have. Our cup is almost ready. I've cut out every excess I have, and this is our cup, neatly covered at the front, at the right side. Everything came out beautiful. Then the next thing to do now is to cover with the lining piece. I will trim out all the excess. This is the other cup. After trimming both of them, this is what I have for the both cup. This is it, the both cup, how neatly both of them are being covered at the right side. The next thing now is to get my lining and cover it. Remember, while covering it up while making a dress for someone, make sure that both lines are lined together, not one being above the other. Make sure that both lines are on the same line for both cups. The next thing now is to introduce my lining. This is the two lining for the two cup. This is both of them together. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove one cup so that will work with one cup. And what you do is to open the lining piece like this. Open up the lining piece and face it, place it on top of the cup, right side facing each other, just like so. Make sure both right sides are facing each other and place it very well. Make sure that the lining covers the cup completely. Place it very well like this. And after that, you sew on the upper part. After covering it front side facing each other, sew at the upper part only. You sew only at the upper part, then you flip it over. You not sew at any other place, only the upper part. That's where you sew, only the upper part. Then you flip it over. I will head over to the machine now and sew it. For you to make it easier for yourself, there is something I did. I used a pin to secure that upper part first, just like I'm showing you right now. I used a pin to secure it before sewing. That way it will be easier for me. That's what I did. I used a pin to hold it. Then you sew it down using your sewing allowance, using just 1/2 inch. That's what I did here. Here I'm sewing the both cups together, and I'm removing the pins as I sew. I'm sewing the two cups together. Sew it gently. Take your time. And I'm done. And when I'm done sewing, I cut out the excess at that upper part so that I'll be able to flip it over to use the lining to cover the cup. Here I'm cutting out the excess at the upper part. And when I'm done cutting, this is what I have. This is it after cutting. And here I turned the lining at the back to cover the cup. And when I turn it, this is what I have. And I noticed that the line is kind of pulling up or coming up. So I'm going to sew on top like this, as you see me pointing out now. I'm going to sew on top of the cup at that place. But I'm still going to open it up and cut out the excesses so that it will be a bit relaxed. I opened it up and cut out the excess at that upper part before top stitching it, so that the cup will relax after sewing it up, top stitching on top of it. Here I've cut out the excess and I turned it back. After turning it back, I'll now sew on top of it as I explained. I'm going to push the lining inwards very well and sew on top of the main cup so that the lining won't be coming up after sewing. this is how I'm going to do it. I'll push the lining inwards and then sew across on top of it. Here I'm top stitching on top of the cup, and as you can see, I'm pulling the lining inside so that the cup will come out beautiful and relax at that upper part after sewing. Here I'm sewing across the whole upper part. That's what I'm doing, and after I'm done, this is what we have. Then this is it. The next thing we are going to do now is to use a pin and pin the whole down part. I'll use a pin and pin it all through and show us and tell us the next thing to do. That's what we'll do next. I'll pin it all round. And after pinning the whole thing together, this is what we have, the upper part. See how neatly the upper part came out, and the down part I've secured with pin. See how it looks. The next thing is to go and sew it down. Sew it down at the down part. We'll go and sew it down. Sew it this way. And after sewing and trimming out the excesses, this is what they have. This is the front view. I've cut it out. Make sure at the lining part you have enough allowance for the cup to fit into it. This is our cup beautifully formed out. We have come to the end of this tutorial. If you found value for this tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, comment and share. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. It's very important to me. See you in my next video. Bye.